Let me start with a question. Do you remember the first time something hurt you? Not physically, the first time you felt wrong, like you didn't belong, like something was missing, like life wasn't supposed to feel this heavy. Most of us don't remember. It was too early, too small, a word from a parent, a tease from a sibling, a moment of loneliness in a crowded room. That moment, that tiny grain of sand entered your shell, and you've been carrying it ever since. This is not a sad story. This is the beginning of every pearl. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall, they cry, they get up, they fall again. No one calls them a failure. No one says you're not good at walking. They just try again. Because falling is not a problem. Falling is how you learn where the ground is. But somewhere along the way we forgot that. We started treating every fall like proof that we're breaking. Every grain of sand like an enemy. The oyster doesn't do that. The oyster doesn't fight the sand. It doesn't wish the sand away. It simply receives it. And in that receiving, something changes. Not the sand, the oyster. You are the oyster, and the sand, your failures, your rejections, your unanswered questions, is not your enemy. It's your raw material. Here's a strange truth most of us are afraid to receive. We're afraid of compliments, so we deflect. Oh, it was nothing. We're afraid of love, so we push people away before they can leave. We're afraid of pain, so we numb ourselves with work, with scrolling, with food, with anything that fills the silence. But the oyster doesn't have a choice. It lives in the ocean. The ocean brings whatever it brings, sand, plankton, pollution, light. The oyster can't close itself forever. If it does, it starves. If it closes too tight, it dies. You are the same. You can't protect yourself from everything. If you do, you stop growing, you stop feeling, you stop living. Think of a time you let someone in, really in, a friend you trusted, a partner you loved, a teacher who saw you. That moment of opening, it was scary, wasn't it? Because opening means you can be hurt, but it also means you can be touched. And being touched, truly touched, is the only way anything real happens. The oyster's shell is not a weapon, it's a boundary. It opens when it's safe, it closes when it's not, but it never forgets how to open. You don't have to be open all the time, but you have to remember how. Close your eyes for a moment. Think of one thing you've been refusing to receive. A compliment, a critique, a help, a hug. Just name it. Don't fix it. Just let it be there. That's the first step. Receiving without reacting. The oyster doesn't judge the sand. It just holds it. Now comes the hard part, the waiting. The oyster doesn't make a pearl overnight. It takes years, sometimes decades. The sand sits inside the shell, and the oyster covers it with layer after layer of nacre. The same stuff the shell is made of. Slowly, patiently, unconsciously. The oyster doesn't try to make a pearl. It just keeps living, and the pearl happens. You have been taught that patience is passive, that waiting is wasting, that if you're not pushing, you're failing. But think of a seed in the soil. Does it push? Does it struggle? No. It receives water. It receives darkness. It receives time. And then one day, it breaks through. Not because it forced itself, because it grew. Think of a wound healing. You don't do anything. Your body just does it. Cells divide, skin forms, scars fade. You don't supervise the process. You just let time pass. Your soul heals the same way. Not by force, by allowing. Think of a relationship that went wrong. You tried to fix it. You analyzed it. You replayed conversations in your head. Did that help? Or did it just keep the wound open? The oyster doesn't replay the grain of sand. It doesn't blame the sand. It doesn't wish the sand had never come. It just covers it, layer by layer, until what was once sharp becomes smooth. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to forget. You just have to stop picking at the wound. Let the maker do its work. Now here's the moment everyone waits for. The pearl. The pearl is not a reward. It's not a trophy. It's what happens when pain is held long enough, without being rejected, without being worshipped. The pearl is wisdom. Not the kind you read in books, the kind that lives in your bones. Think of someone old, really old, who has suffered and survived. Not someone bitter, someone soft, someone who smiles at things that would have crushed them years ago. That softness is not weakness. That softness is the pearl. The sand is still there, inside, but it's no longer sharp. It's been transformed. You have pearls already. You just don't recognize them. Every time you help someone who is going through what you went through, that's a pearl. Every time you say I understand, and you actually mean it, that's a pearl. Every time you choose kindness when you have every right to be cruel, that's a pearl. You didn't get those by reading a book. You got them by holding the sand. Think of your biggest failure, the one that still stings. Now ask yourself, what did it teach you? Not what did it take from you? What did it give you? If you can answer that question, you have a pearl. If you can't, the oyster is still working. That's okay. Don't rush the oyster. Here's what no one tells you about pearls. The oyster doesn't keep the pearl forever. Eventually it releases it. The pearl falls out of the shell, into the ocean, onto the shore, into the hands of a diver. The oyster doesn't mourn. The oyster doesn't cling. The oyster just continues. Holding another grain of sand. Living another day. You are terrible at this part. We all are. You hold on to grudges like they're treasures. You replay old arguments like they're still happening. You keep old versions of yourself alive. The victim, the hero, the martyr, long after they should have been released. Think of a relationship that ended. You still think about them. You still wonder what if. You still feel the weight of what was said and what wasn't. That's not love. That's clinging. And clinging is not loyalty. It's fear. The oyster doesn't cling. The oyster opens. The oyster releases. The oyster receives new sand. You can do the same. Not by forgetting, by letting go. Let go of the version of you that needed that person to change. Let go of the story where you're the victim. Let go of the hope that the past will be different. The pearl is already inside you. You don't have to keep carrying it. You can let it fall, and then you can make another one. Think of something you've been holding on to that you don't need anymore. A grudge, a regret, a goal that no longer fits, a version of yourself that you've outgrown. What would it feel like, just for a moment, to put it down? Not throw it away, just put it down. That's release. That's the oyster's final gift. Here's the climax, the moment everything comes together. You are not just the oyster. You are not just the pearl. You are the process, the opening, the receiving, the holding, the transforming, the releasing, the opening again. That's not a cycle, that's a life. Every problem you've ever had, every grain of sand is still inside you. Not as a wound, as a pearl, layer by layer, year by year, pain by pain, wisdom by wisdom. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are an oyster in an infinite ocean, and the sand never stops coming. That's not a curse. That's how pearls are made. Think of the oldest person you admire. Not the richest, not the most famous, the one who feels wise, the one who doesn't rush, the one who listens more than they speak. That person didn't avoid pain. They held it, for decades, until the sharp edges smoothed. You are becoming that person, right now, with every disappointment, with every sleepless night, with every question you can't answer. The pearl is not at the end of the journey. The pearl is the journey. What this means for you, right now. So here's what you can do today. Next time something irritates you, a delay, a critique, a failure, a fear, don't fight it. Don't numb it. Don't rehearse it. Just hold it. For 10 seconds, like an oyster holds a grain of sand. Don't solve it. Don't judge it. Just let it be there. Notice what happens. The irritation doesn't disappear, but your relationship with it changes. You're no longer a victim of the sand. You're the oyster, and the oyster is not afraid. That's not magic. That's practice. Do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next. Over time, years not days, you'll notice something. The things that used to ruin your day become smaller. The things that used to trigger you become quieter. The things that used to make you angry become interesting. Not because the world changed, because you changed. Then another. That's the pearl. That's the oyster. That's you.